Diane right now. We have a very special speaker today that I'm really anxious for you to hear from. I don't know if Diane, you're going to maybe tell a little bit about who you are.
Sure. Hi, good afternoon. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Diane White, and I'm a family support partner with Wraparound here in Elgin County. My role is very unique. It is the only one of its kind, and what I do is I become an integral part of a team that works with the family, and I help to connect them to the services and the people and the supports that do exist here in Elgin County. And if they don't exist, sometimes we make it up and we start it ourselves. Today, I've been doing this since 2007. Today, I'm going to be introducing our guest speaker. She's a mom who lives here in St. Thomas with 2 children, and she has been involved in the wraparound process for about 18 to 20 months now. We can't call her a graduate. Oftentimes we have graduates from Wraparound, so we're just going to call her a student of Wraparound today. Holly McNay is a strong, wonderful woman who has worked diligently to help her children and help herself and help her family come through some very difficult things. And I think you're going to really enjoy listening to her story. Holly?
Nice to see you all here. I'm Holly. I'm just going to give you a very, very quick intro to my family. I have 2 children. I am a single mother and have been a single mother for the last 5 years. I have 2 children. My daughter is 14. Her name is Ryan. She is diagnosed with ADHD, OCD, anxiety, depression, suicidal ideation, and did have a diagnosis of PTSD until recently. They said that it had switched down to depression. My 12-year-old son, Alexi, is diagnosed with ADHD, anxiety, and PTSD. I have diagnoses myself. I'm diagnosed with dissociative identity disorder and ADHD. So dinner at our house is very entertaining. You never know who you're going to get that day. So Wraparound came into our family in the fall of 2010. At this point in time, I had been a single mother for about 3 years. The PTSD that my son and I are diagnosed, and my daughter as well, I spent 12.5 years in an abusive marriage. We came out of that when my ex-husband left. Very scarred. We were very scarred. And that's the thing with the invisible illnesses, is you don't see the scars, but I tell you, we were one big gaping wound. If we had gone into an emergency room with physical wounds matching our mental and emotional wounds, we may still be hospitalized at this point in time. It's just, there's no telling what people have inside them with the invisible illnesses. And people don't recognize that, and I think that's one of the things that Wraparound does help with, brings it out into the community. I lost my train of thought. Oh no! Yes, Wraparound came into my family in fall of 2010, and at that point in time I was still doing pretty well. Unfortunately, in October of 2010, I took ill and was bedridden for about 3 weeks. And I have been in and out of work since then with medical conditions, including vertigo and severe headaches. And the same year, I am the foundation for my children. Mothers know this. You are what your kids look to for the strength for their family to get through their day. And children who have mental health illnesses or any other type of illness really heavily depend on their parent. And I was in bed. My kids couldn't depend on me for anything. I could hardly get out of bed. And at the same time, both their teachers took ill. So the rug was pulled right out from underneath both my kids that year. And Wraparound came in, and it was Wendy who was with us. And I thank God for her every day. One of the things I'm really grateful for about Wendy is that she shares my quirky sense of humor. So when she comes in and I'm laughing at stuff that other people would cry at, she gets it, she understands, and that's a blessing because I know I throw people off sometimes. And so Wendy came in, and without her help and continued support, we would have been lost. It would have been horrible. I don't know that I would be standing here today without the wraparound support that I have received. Last year around this time I started a blog, started writing about our family. I call it Surviving the Madhouse. Raising kids with mental illness with love, affection, and humor. And if you don't have the humor, you're not going to survive it, I promise. It's just not going to happen. So I do refer to my family as the Madhouse. So as I'm talking, I may say at the Madhouse, and that's how I refer to our family. Wendy and the Wraparound team, Diane is part of my Wraparound team now, came in and they helped me access the services for the kids that was so desperate. They are now being seen by counselors at OECYC. We've had the intensive counselor come into the house, and we'd be lost without that as well. We've had her come back, do a little infusion therapy there. And both my children are now seeing a psychiatrist at CPRI, which I am so grateful for, because it's made a difference in their medication and who they talk to and what I understand about what's happening with them. We did have one wraparound facilitator. Wendy has switched positions, and I have to share this because it's kind of funny. And this wraparound facilitator came in, and she was new, and she was going to take over the role for our family. And she's sitting there looking like she just got hit by a train as we're explaining everything that's going on with our family. And Wendy arranged to stay with our family, and I think that the other facilitator was grateful for that, because we're a lot of work. The wraparound, we've done a lot of trying with wraparound. We were working at getting into CMHA. We've worked at different strategies. Wendy tried implementing, and I use the word try, implementing a strategy in the house to keep on a time schedule. And as you know, children with ADHD don't do well with schedules, neither do adults. I hate structure. I hate schedules. So, and knowing that the children require that makes it even more challenging for me. But yes, I can't stand a schedule. Don't try to lock me down. It's impossible. So yeah, a lot of times it'll be 7 o'clock at night. I'm going, okay guys, maybe we should eat. What do you think? You hungry yet? No? Okay, never mind. Half hour later, I'll ask again. But it's been entertaining. The other thing that Wraparound has done while I have been on my journey to wellness, they have stepped in and gone into the schools on my behalf to help with the children. We now have IEPs in place for my daughter. We're working on an IEP for my son. My daughter will be starting high school in the fall, which, I mean, as you know, for any grade 8 student is a real big transition. For someone who hates transitions, that's even worse. So we're working on getting her transition to go into high school and working with the school. She's at a school where they don't normally work with children with mental health issues. It's a school that's new to this whole process. So it's almost as if Wendy is also sort of training the staff and the faculty there to get used to dealing with outside organizations and children with mental health needs and making accommodations, which, as you know, how long has it taken us to get this far in the school system where we are in other schools now? When I was in school, there were no such thing as accommodations for children with mental health needs. We didn't know anything about children with mental health needs. I went to school in Elmer. My parents were divorced when I was little. There were 3 kids in that school, me, my brother, and one other student whose parents were divorced. We were never offered a kids program like the one they offer at OECYC. We were never offered counseling. We were never offered any kind of social work. There was no support system for us. So I would just like to take this moment and say, yay! Because look how far we've come. I know there's still a long way to go, but I mean, we worked hard to get this far. So, and I thank you for all of your hard work and your effort in doing that. I'm not actually sure how long I'm supposed to talk. I'm not really sure what else there is to say. If you knew my children, you know, and you know how amazing these kids are. They're usually smart, they're usually witty, they're very creative, they're artistic, and my kids are all of these things. Unfortunately, they're also weighted down by their mental health diagnoses. Without places like OECYC, without things like Wraparound, my children would never have the chance to soar. They would never be given these opportunities to launch into what they can accomplish. And I know that these kids can accomplish amazing things. Kids with mental health, I think, have more empathy and more sympathy than any other children because they know, they've been there. They're dealing with adult problems at the age of 10. They're dealing with things that as grown-ups we look at and go, I don't want to deal with that. And these kids have to, they have no choice. It's ingrained, it's in their biology. They can't walk away from it. They can't put it down and go, no, I'm not going to deal with that today. They have to deal with it every single day. I make a point of telling my kids, I know how hard you've worked at school just to keep in control. I think you're doing amazing. And they really are. Even on days that they've had a bad day, I still tell them, you tried so hard and that's what matters. And without, like I say, without the support of the counselors and the wraparound, I wouldn't be able to do that for them. Because I would be falling apart, trying to figure out how am I going to help them when I'm broken too. So it's wonderful to know that these services are available, and they are such a necessary and integral part of our society, and so often overlooked, and they shouldn't be, because we are creating a future, and God willing, we're creating an even better future for the next generation of children. This generation of children has a lot more services than mine did, my generation, so the next generation is going to be even better. It's easier to train a child than it is to fix an adult. So thank you all for helping us train up these children in the way that they need to go. It's so much easier. Hopefully the next generation of adults will be even better than this one. We'll be able to recognize everything that's out there. We live in a society that says you're weak for asking for help. We live in a society that exonerates and idolizes the lone wolf that survives on their own and made it from the top and on their own 2 feet and climbed their way up. But there's an African proverb that says it takes a village to raise a child. I would like to thank Wraparound for helping me create that village around my children. Because without your help and without that village, we wouldn't be able to move into a better, brighter future. We'd just be making the same mistakes over and over again. So thank you so much for your help. And for you here today, thank you for your contribution financially. I know that you are making a huge difference in the lives of other children and their families. Thank you all. So she came last summer and fixed my garden. So she, this is when I